The Deep Space Monitoring Station hung silent in Earth's orbit, its arrays of sensors constantly scanning the endless void. Commander Sarah Chen sat at her station, eyes fixed on the data streams flowing across her holographic displays. After 15 years of searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, most of her colleagues had resigned themselves to solitude in the cosmos. But not Sarah. Something in her bones told her humanity wasn't alone. The signal came at 300 hours Earth Standard Time. At first, it appeared as nothing more than an anomaly in the background radiation, a slight pattern that didn't quite fit. But as Sarah refined the signal processing algorithms, the message emerged with crystalline clarity. A repeating sequence of prime numbers, followed by something far more complex. "Dr. Harrison," Sarah called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I need you to verify something." The station's lead physicist shuffled over, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the displays. He adjusted his old-fashioned glasses, a quirk in an age of corrective surgeries, and peered at the data. "My God," he whispered, "it's not random noise. This is a language key." Sarah finished. "They're teaching us how to understand them." Within hours, the station buzzed with activity. The best linguists and mathematicians humanity had to offer worked tirelessly to decode the message. What they found changed everything. The signal originated from a massive structure in deep space, nearly 2 light-years from the nearest star. It wasn't just a message, it was an invitation. 3 months later, Sarah stood on the bridge of the ISS Prometheus, humanity's first faster-than-light capable vessel. The ship represented everything humanity had achieved in the decades following the signal's discovery. Theoretical physics had become applied engineering, and the impossible had become routine. "Final systems check complete, Commander," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station. "The Shaw Fujicoa drive is nominal. We're ready for the jump." Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. "Take us out, Lieutenant. Let's meet our neighbors." The jump lasted both an instant and an eternity. When reality reasserted itself, they found themselves facing something that defied description. A structure of impossible scale filled their view screen, a lattice of crystalline materials and dark metal that seemed to fold in on itself in ways that hurt to look at. It was organic and geometric, ancient and timeless all at once. "Energy readings are off the charts," Science Officer Paddle reported, her voice filled with wonder. "The structure appears to be powered by..." "Commander, it appears to be drawing energy directly from quantum fluctuations in spacetime itself." Before Sarah could respond, a new signal washed over the ship. The universal translators they'd developed based on the original message sprang to life. "Children of Earth," a voice spoke, both ancient and vital. "We are the archivists. We have watched your growth from afar, waiting for the day you would reach for the stars. You have shown remarkable progress, achieving in decades what takes most species millennia." The voice paused, and Sarah felt a presence brush against her mind. Gentle, curious, but immensely powerful. "We have chosen you for a task of supreme importance. Our civilization stands at a crossroads, and we believe humanity may hold the key to our survival and the survival of all knowledge in this galaxy." Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "I am Commander Sarah Chen of Earth. We're honored by your trust, but I must ask, why us? We're so young compared to you." A sound like crystalline chimes filled the bridge. Laughter, Sarah realized with a start. "That is precisely why, Commander. Your species possesses something rare in this galaxy, the perfect balance of innovation and preservation. You create and adapt at a remarkable rate, yet you cherish your history and culture with equal passion. This duality makes you unique among all the races we have encountered." The presence in Sarah's mind grew stronger, sharing images of Earth's history, from the first cave paintings to the digital archives of the modern age. They had been watching, learning, understanding. "But before we can entrust you with our legacy, you must understand what you face. The galaxy holds dangers you cannot imagine, and our choice of humanity as successors will not go unchallenged. The holographic displays came alive with new information, star charts, technical specifications, and warnings that made Sarah's blood run cold. Will you hear our story, children of Earth? Will you learn what we have to teach, knowing that this knowledge comes with great responsibility and greater danger? Sarah looked around at her crew, the best and brightest humanity had to offer. She saw determination in their eyes, the hunger for knowledge tempered by caution and wisdom. "We will listen," she replied, "and we will learn." The archivist's presence seemed to approve. "Then let us begin with the truth of our origins, and why we now seek those who will carry our torch forward into the future." As the ancient being began its tale, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just stepped onto a path from which there would be no return. Their role in the galaxy was about to change forever, and she prayed they were ready for what lay ahead. The story of humanity's greatest challenge was about to unfold, and Sarah Chen would be at its heart. The crystalline chamber within the archivist's structure dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. Sarah stood with her senior staff, surrounded by displays that seemed to float in the very air itself. The archivist who had first contacted them, who had introduced itself as Nexus, manifested as a shifting pattern of light and energy. "Our civilization," Nexus began, "spans 50 million years of galactic history. We arose as seekers of knowledge, watching countless species rise and fall. We preserved their achievements, their art, their sciences, everything that made them unique." The chamber filled with holographic images, extinct civilizations, lost worlds, and technologies that defied comprehension. Sarah watched as entire histories played out before her eyes. "But now," Nexus continued, its light form dimming slightly, "we face our own extinction. Our physical forms are failing, and with them, our ability to maintain the archive." Dr. Harrison stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overwhelming his usual reserve. "Your technology seems far beyond anything we could comprehend. Surely you found a way to preserve yourselves." A sound like wind through crystal filled the chamber. A sigh. Sarah realized. "We have tried. For 10,000 years, we have searched for a solution, but our very nature works against us. We have become too static, too set in our ways. We can preserve knowledge, but we have lost the ability to innovate, to think in new ways." "That's where we come in," Sarah said, beginning to understand. "Yes." Nexus's form brightened. "Your species possesses something remarkable. The ability to look at old problems with new eyes. You take existing knowledge and transform it into something new. This is what we need." Lieutenant Rodriguez frowned. "But surely other species have had this ability. Why haven't you approached them?" The images around them shifted, showing various alien civilizations. Many species excel at innovation, yes, but they often discard the old in favor of the new. Others preserve perfectly but never advance. Humanity alone has shown the perfect balance. You build on your past rather than abandoning it. Sarah watched as images of Earth's history appeared. Ancient structures preserved alongside modern buildings, classic literature taught alongside new works, old technologies adapted and improved rather than discarded. "But there is more," Nexus continued, its tone growing grave. "We are not the only power in this galaxy. Others have watched your development, and not all share our belief in preservation." New images appeared. Massive warships of designs Sarah had never seen, worlds reduced to ash, civilizations erased not by time, but by deliberate action. "The destroyers," Nexus explained. "They believe that knowledge is dangerous, that preservation leads to stagnation. They seek to free the galaxy by erasing its past." Science Officer Patel's hands flew over her datapad. "These energy readings, the weapons they're using, they're capable of destroying entire star systems." "Yes, and they will come for Earth, now that we have made contact. They cannot allow another civilization to follow our path." Sarah felt the weight of command settle more heavily on her shoulders. How long do we have? Months, perhaps. They are distant but moving fast. You must prepare. Prepare how? Sarah demanded. You've seen our technology level. We're centuries behind them. Nexus's form expanded, filling the chamber with patterns of light. We will help you. The archive contains the combined knowledge of thousands of civilizations. We can teach you, guide you. But you must learn quickly, and you must prove yourselves worthy. Worthy? Dr. Harrison asked. How? There are trials, Nexus explained. Tests of character as much as capability. You must demonstrate not just your ability to use knowledge, but your wisdom in its application. The chamber darkened, and a new image appeared. A massive complex deep within the archive structure. This is the Forge. Here we will test your species representatives. Those who succeed will gain access to specific sections of the archive. Those who fail. The unspoken warning hung in the air. Sarah straightened her uniform. When do we begin? Now, Nexus replied. But first, you must understand what success will mean. If you prove worthy, you will become more than just students of the archive. You will become its guardians, tasked with preserving the knowledge of countless civilizations. The responsibility will be enormous. And if we refuse, then you face the destroyers alone, with only your current level of technology to defend yourself. Sarah looked at her team, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt. They had come too far to turn back now. We accept your challenge, she declared. Humanity will not run from this responsibility. Then let the trials begin, Nexus announced. And may your species' adaptability serve you well, for you will need every advantage in the tests to come. As the chamber reconfigured itself for the first trial, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if they had just volunteered humanity for a task that would either elevate their species to unprecedented heights or lead them to extinction. The Forge lived up to its name. Heat rippled through the chamber as Sarah and her team faced their first trial. Before them, a miniature star burned in contained suspension, its corona threatening to break free of its quantum barriers. Your task, Nexus announced, is to stabilize the stellar matrix without destroying the civilizations that exist within its influence. Dr. Harrison's eyes widened behind his glasses. Within its influence, there are living beings in those star systems. Holographic displays materialized, showing 12 inhabited worlds orbiting the unstable star. Each hosted millions of sentient beings, all unaware that their sun was about to go nova. This scenario is based on an actual event from our history, a new voice announced. A younger archivist named Galactic materialized beside them, its energy form more dynamic and less structured than Nexus. My ancestors faced this challenge. Only 6 worlds survived. Sarah studied the data streaming across her displays. These containment fields, they're failing systematically, not randomly, almost as if someone designed them to fail. Lieutenant Rodriguez finished, his fingers dancing across his interface. It's a pattern, Commander. Like a code, but written in stellar dynamics. Calix's form flickered with interest. You see it already. It took my ancestors days to recognize the pattern. Because they were looking for a natural phenomenon. Science Officer Patel interjected. But humans are pattern seekers by nature, and more importantly, we're paranoid. We always look for intelligent causes behind disasters. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Of course, humanity's tendency toward conspiracy theories would prove useful here. All right, team. Let's treat this like a hack, not a natural disaster. Rodriguez, map those failure patterns. Harrison, I need power calculations for each containment field. Patel, show me the relationships between those inhabited worlds. The next hour was a blur of calculations and theoretical physics. They discovered that the star's containment system had been sabotaged by an ancient race that believed lesser civilizations should either solve their own problems or perish. The solution wasn't to simply repair the containment fields. It was to help each civilization recognize and respond to the threat themselves. Remarkable. Nexus observed as the final calculations were implemented. You didn't simply save them. You taught them to save themselves. Isn't that what you're doing with us? Sarah asked, wiping sweat from her brow. Teaching us to survive by understanding the threats we face. Calyx's form pulsed with what Sarah was learning to recognize as approval. You understand more than you know, Commander. But this was only the first trial. The chamber shifted, transforming into what appeared to be a vast library. But instead of books, it contained crystals that hummed with stored data. Your next challenge, Nexus announced, involves protecting knowledge itself. The destroyers have many methods of attacking the archive. One of their most insidious is the introduction of subtle corruptions. Changes so small they go unnoticed until entire sections of history have been rewritten. Like a computer virus that changes random bits of data, Rodriguez suggested. Similar, yes, but far more sophisticated. Observe. A crystal floated forward, its contents displaying in the air around them. Sarah watched as historical events play out, but something was wrong. The changes were subtle at first, a word here, a date there, but the cumulative effect was staggering. Entire civilizations' histories were being slowly twisted, their achievements and failures reversed, their very nature altered. This is worse than destruction, Dr. Harrison muttered. This is perversion of truth itself. Yes, Calyx agreed, moving closer to their group. And this is happening now, in sections of the archive we cannot fully protect. We need fresh eyes, new perspectives on data security. Sarah noticed something about Calyx's behavior. The young archivist seemed more engaged with them than the others, more invested in their success. There was a story there, but now wasn't the time to explore it. Patel, Sarah called out, you specialized in data integrity algorithms before joining the space service, right? Yes, Commander. And I think, yes, I see what they did here. It's brilliant, actually. Evil, but brilliant. They're not changing the data directly. They're altering the quantum state of the storage crystals themselves. The corruption propagates naturally through the archive's own backup systems. Can we stop it? Patel's eyes lit up. Better. We can use it against them. If we understand how they're introducing the corruptions, we can create a vaccination protocol. Not just protect the data, but make it impossible to corrupt in the first place. The next several hours were a frenzy of quantum computing theory and practical application. Sarah watched with pride as her team worked seamlessly with Calyx, who proved to be an invaluable bridge between human intuition and archivist technology. When they finally succeeded, implementing a new security protocol that would protect the archive's data integrity, Sarah noticed something had changed. The other archivists were observing them with what felt like increased respect. But Calyx was practically radiating excitement. There's something you're not telling us, Sarah said to the young archivist when they had a moment alone. Something about why these trials are really necessary. Calyx's form dimmed slightly. Perceptive, Commander. Yes, there is more at stake than even Nexus has revealed, but you're not ready for that truth yet. Complete the next trial, and perhaps. The chamber began to reconfigure itself again, but Sarah's mind was racing. What were the archivists really preparing them for? And why did she have the feeling that Calyx might be their most important ally in the challenges to come? The deepest chamber of the archive felt different from the others. While the rest of the structure hummed with energy and life, this place lay silent, heavy with untold secrets. Sarah's team had passed their trials, but Calyx's warning echoed in her mind. This section hasn't been accessed in over 10,000 years, Calyx explained, its form flickering nervously. What you're about to learn, it could change everything. The real reason for the trials, Sarah guessed, why the archivists are really dying out. Yes, Nexus materialized beside them, its usual commanding presence somehow diminished in this ancient space. You've earned the right to know. Your solutions to our trials proved something we desperately needed to confirm, that humanity can think beyond conventional boundaries while still maintaining ethical principles. The chamber awakened, revealing a vast database unlike anything they'd seen before. This wasn't the organized, cataloged knowledge of the main archive. This was raw, chaotic, a dump of emergency data preserved in crisis. Show them, Galactic urged. Show them what we found in the void. Nexus hesitated, then activated the central display. The hologram that appeared showed something that defied comprehension, a massive tear in space itself, bleeding darkness into reality. 50,000 years ago, Nexus began. We detected an anomaly at the galaxy's edge. Our scientists discovered that reality itself was becoming unstable. The fundamental forces that bind the universe were beginning to unravel. Dr. Harrison stepped closer to the display, his face pale. That's impossible. The fundamental forces can't just change. They can, Galactic corrected, if something is changing them deliberately. The display shifted, showing massive structures built around the tear in space. We tried to contain it, Nexus continued. We built machines to stabilize reality itself. And for a time, we succeeded, but the effort changed us. The containment technology, Sarah realized. It affected your species somehow. It required us to synchronize our consciousness with the quantum fabric of space-time, Galactic explained. We became living processors, our minds perfectly ordered, perfectly logical, and perfectly rigid. We gained incredible power over energy and matter, but we lost something vital. The ability to adapt, Science Officer Patel whispered. You locked yourselves into patterns of thought so rigid that you can't evolve anymore. Yes, Nexus's form dimmed further, and now the tear is growing again. Our solutions are failing because we can no longer think in new ways. You need humans, Lieutenant Rodriguez finished. Because we're chaotic thinkers. We make intuitive leaps. But that's not all, Sarah said, studying the data streams. The destroyers, they're not really trying to erase knowledge, are they? They're trying to erase you. They think your attempt to fix reality made things worse. They believe the only solution is to let reality reset itself, Galactic confirmed. To let the tear consume everything and trust that the universe will rebuild itself naturally. They call themselves destroyers, but they see themselves as liberators. Are they wrong? Dr. Harrison asked quietly. How do we know your solution didn't make things worse? We don't, Nexus admitted. That's why we needed you. Humanity's greatest strength is not just your adaptability or your preservation instincts. It's your ability to find third options where others see only two choices. Sarah walked around the holographic tear, her mind racing. These readings, they're familiar somehow. Rodriguez, remember that signal pattern from the first trial? The one that looked like a code? Yes, Commander. It's similar to. Wait. Rodriguez pulled up the data, overlaying it with the tear's energy signature. They're connected. The star containment system, it wasn't just a test. It was a miniature version of what's happening to space itself. And we solved it, Sarah said, excitement building, not by simply containing the problem or letting it explode, but by teaching the affected systems to adapt naturally. What if we could do the same thing here? Not fight the tear, not surrender to it, but help space-time itself learn to heal. Galactic's form brightened suddenly. That's not something we ever considered. We thought in terms of forcing reality to obey our rules or accepting its collapse. The idea of working with it, of treating space-time itself as an adaptive system. It's crazy, Dr. Harrison said. Completely theoretical. We'd need to combine human intuition with archivist processing power, Patil interrupted. Their quantum consciousness technology merged with our capacity for lateral thinking. It would be dangerous, Nexus warned. No species has ever attempted to merge with our technology without losing their fundamental nature, as we did. Sarah looked at her team, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that she felt. Maybe that's because they tried to impose order on chaos. We'll do the opposite. We'll teach order how to dance with chaos. You understand, Calyx said softly, that attempting this will make you targets. The destroyers will come for Earth with everything they have. Sarah smiled grimly. Then we better make sure our solution works fast, hadn't we? The destroyer fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of dark stars, their massive ships blotting out the light of nearby suns. But Sarah Chen didn't feel fear as she watched them approach, only determination. They had prepared for this moment. They're hailing us, Rodriguez reported from his station aboard the modified ESS Prometheus. The ship had been transformed by Archivist technology, its systems now a hybrid of human intuition and quantum processing. Open a channel, Sarah commanded. She stood straighter, feeling the familiar presence of Calyx in her mind through their neural interface. Like many of her crew, she had volunteered to merge partially with Archivist consciousness, not to become one of them, but to create something entirely new. The destroyer commander appeared on their view screen, his form shrouded in shifting darkness. "You have been corrupted by the Archivists," he stated without preamble. "Stand down and accept reality's natural progression." "Actually," Sarah replied, "we found another way. One that neither forces reality to conform to our will nor surrenders to chaos." She nodded to Patil. "Show them." The space between the fleets lit up as their prototype activated. It wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was a demonstration. A miniature version of the reality tear appeared, but instead of spreading destruction, it danced. Reality itself rippled and flowed, adapting to the instability rather than fighting it. "Impossible," the destroyer commander whispered. "The fundamental forces cannot be reasoned with, cannot be taught." Dr. Harrison stepped into view, his consciousness now augmented by Archivist quantum processing. "That's where you're both wrong. The universe isn't a machine that needs to be controlled or a wild force that needs to be unleashed. It's alive, in its way, and capable of evolution." The demonstration expanded, showing how their solution worked. Human creativity had seen what the Archivists couldn't, that the tears in space weren't wounds to be sealed or harbingers of necessary destruction. They were growth points, places where reality itself was trying to adapt to something new. "The Archivists tried to force stability," Sarah explained. "You, the destroyers, want to force chaos. We're offering a third option, guided evolution, working with space-time itself to help it adapt naturally." Through their neural link, Sarah felt Calyx's pride and Nexus's growing understanding. The younger Archivist had been right to champion humanity's potential, seeing in them the perfect balance of chaos and order. The destroyer fleet held position as their commander processed what he was seeing. "This is unprecedented. Our calculations never suggested such an approach was possible." "That's because you're both locked into binary thinking," Patil added. "Either control or surrender. We humans have a talent for finding middle paths, for seeing connections others miss." The demonstration reached its climax as their test tear not only stabilized but began generating new patterns of space-time, stronger, more resilient, yet still fundamentally the same. Reality wasn't being forced or destroyed. It was being taught to heal itself. "The archive was never meant to just preserve knowledge," Sarah said, understanding flowing through her enhanced consciousness. "It was meant to preserve the capacity for growth, for change, for evolution itself. That's why humanity was chosen, not because we're perfect, but because we never stopped trying to be better." Hours passed as they explained their solution to the destroyers, showing how human creativity combined with Archivist processing power could guide reality's natural evolution without controlling or destroying it. Slowly, the destroyer fleet began to withdraw. "We will consider your solution," their commander declared finally, "but know that we will be watching. If it fails, we'll try something else." Sarah replied firmly. "That's what humans do." As the destroyer fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Sarah turned to her crew, human and archivist alike. Through their shared consciousness, she felt their unity, their sense of purpose. They had done more than save civilization. They had opened a new chapter in the story of life itself. "Commander," Rodriguez called out, "the quantum readings from the galactic core. They're stabilizing. The tier is responding to our guidance protocols." Sarah smiled, feeling Calix's joy mingling with her own. "Then let's get to work. We have a galaxy to heal and a legacy to build." She looked out at the stars, seeing them not as distant lights but as parts of an interconnected whole. The archive isn't just a collection of knowledge anymore. It's a seed for the future, and humanity will help plant it across the stars. In the years that followed, the partnership between humans and archivists transformed both species. The archivists learned to think creatively again, while humanity gained the wisdom to use their chaos productively. Together, they became the gardeners of reality, helping the universe itself grow stronger and more resilient. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that Sarah Chen had known from the beginning. The greatest achievements don't come from imposing our will on the universe or surrendering to it, but from learning to dance with it, to grow with it, to help it become what it was always meant to be. The legacy of stars had begun, and it would light the way for generations to come.